Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome once again to Relationship Videos 101. It is Monday, October 7th, 2013, and I'd like to welcome you back into my bat cave of advice. Before we even get started, I would like to thank my friend Ghost of Sparta for a few of the topics and questions that I've come up with and that I'm going to be covering this week. Also, I would like to thank Ichigo Loving because she also came up with a couple that helped me figure out some things to do and to have topics for this video. I would also like to give a shout out to a viewer and friend, Lauren. How you doing? Thanks for watching. Now, this week is going to be pretty cool because I actually have a list. Dun, dun, dun. Which, if you've seen the other video when I had a list is always a great thing because it means there's just like a plethora of topics for me to cover. Also means there's a long video for you guys because I know the last couple have been only about 15 minutes, give or take. So this one should probably run at least a good 20. I will not ramble as much as I am told that I do sometimes when I get on a roll. I will make sure that I am clear and concise and that you will actually be able to understand exactly what it is I am talking about as I cover each topic. As always, I welcome you to hit the like button and to leave a comment or send me an email at this email address concerning something you would like for me to talk to you about. And I will always do my best to get back to you and to cover whatever it is that you've asked me to cover or to talk about whatever it is you've asked me to talk about. Because as always, without you, there would be no me. If there were no bad relationships, I wouldn't have any advice to give because everybody would be happy. But thankfully, everybody isn't. So, kudos to you guys. So, first topic we will cover will be how good-looking men and women get away with anything when they're in a relationship. And this is true. I've witnessed it. I've heard friends talk about this. It is the most ridiculous thing in the world to me, but it is something that is commonplace that has happened. Beauty, I understand that love makes you blind, but apparently love and beauty not only makes you blind, but it also apparently makes you stupid. Which apparently also good sex can do, but that's something for an entirely different video. But this is about how good-looking men and women can get into a situation in a relationship that if you were just average-looking, you would probably end up single in. But because they're good-looking, people put up with their shit. It makes no sense to me. If you wouldn't put up with this shit from anybody else, don't put up with this shit just because they're good-looking. Good-looking people shouldn't have different rules than average people when it comes to a relationship. I don't give a damn how good-looking you are. Because, like, I like Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson get it any day of the week. Even at her age, she's always going to be good-looking. Hands down. And Janet is just, like, so sexy to me. But if me and Janet were dating, and Janet just did some really off-the-wall type of dumb shit, I'm not going to look at her and just be like, you know what? I forgive you. Hell no. Look here, Janet, I love you. But that was some real dumbass shit you just did. But good-looking people can get away with that. Let's say, good-looking people can get away with cheating. Good-looking, and I know that sounds kind of retarded. I know somebody has probably just heard me say that and go, that shit ain't true. But think about it for a moment. How many friends do you probably have who have been with someone who has either cheated on them, treated them badly, used them for something, and they've let them get away with it because that person is good looking. No other reason whatsoever. They have no other redeeming qualities about them. They're not trying to do shit with their life. They're no good for your actual friend, but your friend continues to let that good looking person do whatever the fuck it is they want to do. And that's just retarded. Good looking people shouldn't have different rules for everybody else. Good looking people are just like everybody else. Matter of fact, good looking people fuck up more than the rest of us because they're good looking. They figure they can get away with everything. And that's just how life is. And it's unfair. So people, if you're in a relationship with someone that you think is good looking or that is just like ridiculously good looking, don't let them walk all over you. Don't let them do dumb shit to you. Stand up for yourself. Tell them no. And calmly like that too, because if you tell them no, all outlandish and it gets out of hand, it gets out of the box. Just tell them no. Plain and simple. You can't do that to me. I am a person. Quit trying to fuck me over. Just like that. And then they will also find a way, good-looking people, we'll talk about it, they will also find a way to get what they want. This is another situation. When a good-looking person is with somebody And this is an example. This isn't talking. Say, good-looking guy. He's married to a woman. He's a cheater. It's what he does. But he's good-looking, so he's cheated before and he's gotten away with it a few times. And he wants to cheat, but he's married now. So the rules are a little bit different once you're married. So, in order to get out of it being called cheating, he decides to introduce swinging. Which, if you don't know, swinging is when you and another couple get together, or multiple couples get together, and you swap mates. You know, the husband goes with some other woman, and the woman goes with some other man. It's swinging. Now, if you have an open relationship and you are actually swingers, no problem. It's not cheating because it's your lifestyle. It is what you're into. You're the type of person that has that love that can't be contained by just one person. And if the person you're with is just like that, they completely understand. And it's all okay. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever in my book. But if you and somebody have been dating for, say, 6 months to a year, or even more than that, let's say you've decided to get married. And in the entire time that you were getting to know each other, dating, planning the wedding, being married, the subject of being swingers never came up in a conversation. And then all of a sudden one day he goes, I think we should be swingers. That nigga trying to cheat on you. I'm just saying. And I won't say that person, guy or girl, situation is the same, is trying to cheat on you. And they're trying to make it sound like it's something that's going to be okay. But if you've never thought about it, if it's not something you are comfortable with, one, don't get talked into it. Don't let the beautiful people talk you into dumb shit. Don't let them make you think it's for the greater good, because it's not. I mean, it's for their greater good, mind you. They get to go off and have sex with tons of other people, and and at the same time they get to have their cake and eat it too. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you, because if that's not what you're into, you shouldn't be talked into it. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable. You shouldn't feel pressured into doing something you don't want to do. Bottom line, hands down. You got to know what you like. You got to know what you don't want. And you got to know where to draw the line about some things. That is how it is. Now, the next subject is something that has happened to me a couple times, and something that I actually have a decently set rule about on it. And it is talking about sex with an ex versus talking about sex with someone who's a stranger. Now, this is, you're in a relationship, okay? And the person you're dating is talking about sex, either their sex life or sex in general, with their ex. Me personally, I have no problem with you talking about sex with your ex, because your ex has had sex with you. So your ex knows what the sex with you is like. The fact that they aren't getting any more sex from you means that either somewhere along the lines in the relationship or in the sex in general, they did something wrong. So I'm not worried about them getting you back. Because obviously, either my sex with me is better, or just being with me is better in general, so I'm not worried. You still coming home to me. You can talk to that motherfucker all day long about our sex life or about sex in general, and it doesn't matter because you're still having it with me. Now, on the flip side of that, if you were talking about sex in general, about what you like, what you don't like, what you're into, what you would like to try, what you have done, or our sex life with someone you have not had sex with, no. No, no, no. Because see, now you're entering the realm of making that person wonder what sex with you is like. You're telling them what you like to do, what you don't like to do, how you like to have your neck kissed, ass slapped, hair pulled, whatever, tied up, hot wax dripped on you, whatever it is. You're telling them. And so now they're starting to think about what it would be like to do those things to you. You're putting ideas in their head about having sex with you. Something that they probably wouldn't have done initially. Or if they have, they wouldn't have had as much detail to build their fantasy around. See what I'm saying? So, that whole situation, yeah. And I'm going to say this, the only possible out that this can possibly even remotely be okay with is if you're talking about sex to a stranger, someone who you haven't had sex with, and that person lives in a whole nother state. That's the only out. If the person lives in another state, then it's now. I'll give you that one. Because the odds of you being able to go see that person and have sex with that person without me possibly knowing about it becoming infinitely small. So I can possibly forgive you that and be okay with it. So that's all right. But like if that motherfucker live in the same state, down the street, hour away, 15 minutes away, y'all share a classroom, bus ride, carpool, whatever, and in that time period you're talking about, problem. Because now they're gonna start thinking about what it's like to have sex with you. And I don't remember if I've covered it or not. And if I haven't, I'll make a note. Matter of fact, I'll make a note right now about it. So next video to talk about what ifs, because what ifs will drive you crazy. And oh god, yeah, that is something that will lead to all kinds of trouble. Also, what ifs? I make 3 lines under and exclamation points, just so I remember to actually make that on the topic of the next video. Like I'll probably spend like a good point of that talking about that. So. Yeah, you talking about that, man? Sex, cool if it's with an ex. Not so cool if it's with somebody who's never had sex with you. So, next topic is talking about. I want to talk about swinging because I want to cover it just in case people don't know. Now, is it cheating or is it just is it cheating? Is it just cheating with a new name? Now, it's a delicate subject in general because. Like I said, some people, this is their lifestyle. They're married and they're happily married, but then they also have boyfriend, girlfriend or both on the side, and the husband, wife is okay with this because that's their lifestyle. This is what they are into. That is completely and totally okay with me. I see no problem with that. Some people do, which is where it becomes. Some people considering it cheating because they think of it as, marriage between one man, one woman, blah blah blah. And all that. So the fact that you're going out and having sex with someone else while you're still married is cheating. I don't think it's cheating with a new name. I really don't. I think it's just exploring your lifestyle, exploring your life sexually, and expanding your relationship in general, which I talked about in the last video about being honest with yourself. If you are honest with yourself and you know this is what you like, then you need to tell somebody. You need to say something up front at the beginning. Hey, I'm a swinger. Hey, I'm poly, whatever it is, that's just how it is. You need to be upfront about it. It's not cheating if this is your lifestyle. If you tell someone you're a swinger and they go, oh, you just like to cheat, you need to go ahead and just basically cut things off right there. Because if you don't think they're ever going to look at you and not think of you as a cheater, then you and them have nothing to talk about because they're always going to see you as a cheater. They're always going to see you as that person that they can't trust because they're not enough for you. They're going to see themselves as being less of the person or that maybe you settled to be with them. You don't need that kind of headache in your life, and they don't need that kind of emotional turmoil on their end either. Just don't do it. Just don't even, oh God, just don't do it to yourself. It's so not worth it. Something a friend said to me the other day that she heard from someone else is something back to like probably my first videos talking about the friend zone. And this analogy works really, really well for it. The friend zone is like not getting a job and then the employer calling you to bitch about all the people they hired instead of you. That's what the friend zone is like. Because that's essentially what happens. You get friend zoned and the girl or guy talks to you about all the shit that's wrong with the person that they dated instead of you. I don't want to hear all that shit. Like, that's just, in all reality, I understand we're friends and friends are supposed to be there for each other through thick and thin, depending on the type of friends you are. But if you know I have feelings for you, if you know a person has feelings for you and wants to date you, don't talk to them about the person you are dating. Just don't, because it's wrong. Because you're basically telling them everything that's wrong, and all they're going to think the entire time you're telling them everything that's wrong is, wouldn't have happened if you'd dated me. And the reality is, they might be right. Actually, they are right. Because the problems you're having with the person you are dating would not be the exact same problems you would be having if you dated them. So, wouldn't have happened if you dated me. See? I'm just saying. So, don't do it. Once again, back to the friend zone, that situation, don't do it. Don't call up a friend after you know they have feelings for you and that friend, and you didn't end up dating that friend. And then you're sitting there telling them, oh, I can't believe he did this. I can't believe she did that. Because if I was the friend, I'm just going to tell you, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. Dun, 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 dun. Dot, dot, dot. And then particularly, probably hang up the phone. Like that. I mean, you can call me a dick, but then again, if you're my friend, you know to expect these things, so it's okay. And if you don't have friends like me, you should get friends like me. Because it's like I said at the beginning of every video. If you don't have nothing nice to say that shit anyway. These hoes need to hear the truth. And when I say hoes, I'm not talking about just females. I'm talking about guys too. These motherfuckers need to hear the truth. Tell them the truth. Stop holding it in. Whatever it is that bugs you about who it is you are dating, tell them the truth. That's in every friendship. Lay it on the line. Look, we're friends. We're cool. I like you. Good. But you're an ass sometimes. Or you're a bitch sometimes. But I still like you. Because you're an ass sometimes. You're a bitch sometimes. It's the quality I even look for in my friends sometimes. So that's just that. Now, next is something I do. I've been told that I do without knowing about it, and it's something that another friend of mine does without knowing about it, because she's kind of like me, and it happens like that. It's flirting without knowing you're flirting. And that really comes from, it's a natural thing. You start talking to a person, you start laughing, you start joking, and then, 20, 30 minutes later, you've made them laugh, you made them joke, you made them, cry sometimes a little bit because the joke is just that funny. And without realizing it until after the whole situation is over, you have flirted with this person without trying to flirt. All you did was be yourself. But you have inadvertently flirted with this person. Now, whether or not the person actually picks up on the fact that you just flirted with them, well, that's totally up to them. Because I'm going to tell you the truth, I am oblivious when it comes to people flirting with me. I know I am. Totally oblivious. I'm talking like Daredevil, blind type of oblivious. And other people are too. Not everybody picks up on the subtle clues of that they're getting flirted with or that somebody's hitting on them. And so, sometimes you have to have that friend that goes, hey, they're hitting on you, right? And that's a good friend too, by the way. A friend that'll tell you somebody's hitting on you, good friend. But flirting without knowing it is really cool because it means it's natural to you. You're not really trying to force it, which is really kind of the best way to flirt with a person. Granted, it's kind of, because if we've all been there, you've actually attempted to flirt with somebody and tried to talk to them, and it gets awkward, and your hands get clammy, you get a little sweaty, and you're just like confused about what you're supposed to say, and you're just like not fully there. And it's just all kinds of just like, and stuff. Yeah. That's not a conversation. That is not flirting. That is almost borderline creepy. That's what that is. But when you're sitting around and you're talking and you're just being yourself, you're laughing, you're joking, and you're talking about whatever the topic is that comes up, and you throw zingers out there every once in a while about something, and the person you like is laughing about it, you're flirting without realizing it. I know I do it. I know I flirt without realizing it. And my problem is I can't control it. It's like a mutant power. I flirt without knowing it sometimes, and I can't stop myself. Once I do realize that I'm actually flirting, if I stop myself, like, everybody looks at me weird because, like, the entire conversation, like, dies off. And it's like, hey, how come he's not making any jokes? Like, why isn't he talking anymore? It's like, you okay? And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. No, I'm not, because I realized I was flirting with somebody, and I shouldn't have been flirting with them. Especially when this happened. It's really bad when you realize you've been flirting without knowing it, and you realize you've been flirting with someone you have absolutely, positively no right to be flirting with. And that is all kinds of awkward. Especially if, like, the person that you realize you've been flirting with is dating somebody who is a friend of yours. You put yourself in a weird little situation right there. Especially if the other person realizes you've been flirting with them and you wonder whether or not they flirted back with you. Whole situation becomes awkward because then you're wondering, which takes us into what ifs, which I'm not getting into in this video. So, flirting without knowing it is dangerous. It's a double-edged sword. Be careful. With great power comes great responsibility. I'll end it with that. Like, there's no better cliche than that one. So, when it comes to flirting. Next is the point in a friendship is something I want to talk about. Is the point in a friendship where talking about sex becomes commonplace. Now, this is something that only happens, well, usually, in my experience, happens between a guy and a girl and a girl and a girl. Is when you've been friends long enough that you can talk about anything. When I mean anything, you can talk about anything. You can talk about what you had for dinner, where you're going tomorrow, type of dinner plans, how many times you've masturbated, whether or not you last time you got laid, whether or not you spit or you swallow. These are things that can be covered because talking about sex becomes commonplace. And it has to be something that happens on its own. It's a naturally evolving occurrence. If you force sex into a conversation with someone where talking about sex with them is not common between the two of you, the entire situation becomes awkward. Trust me, I know. I've been there recently. And it's just like, I don't know if I should even be talking about sex with you because we don't talk about sex usually. So it becomes awkward. It becomes weird. Now the thing is, it's tricky because like you won't know when it happens. Like you'll be talking to somebody one day and they'll say something or you'll say something and then the conversation keeps rolling. Like there's no stop. There's no like pause. There's no awkward silence. Like the conversation just keeps right on moving and nobody notices. Nobody says anything. You respond or they respond and then the topic rolls on and the conversation keeps going. Boom. You've just talked about sex with a friend without knowing it. And now all of a sudden it's commonplace. Now you're not going to talk about sex all the time, but because it's become common and because you've become even and used to talking about sex with each other, it'll come up more often whenever you talk because you now feel comfortable to talk to each other about it. There you go. And that's it. So that's how you talk, that's how that whole situation takes about. Now, last one I want to talk about is getting married to the wrong person. This can happen when they are a good-looking person and you let their good looks blind you to the fact that they're lazy as shit. When the sex is good enough for you to apparently stop caring about whether or not they're good at anything. But it happens. You get married to the wrong person. Now, personally, I'm only getting married once. I've been engaged twice. And the only rings I see are the pinky rings. Why am I not married? According to an ex-girlfriend, because I'm not the marrying type. I'm the type of guy you date, have all your wild, crazy, fun sex, partying, doing drugs moments with, and then you after like 5 years, you dump me and then you go find the guy you really want to marry. Based off of my dating history, give or take, that seems to be about true. But I'm only going to get married once when it finally does happen. We're working everything out. But at the same time, I want to make sure that the person I marry is actually the right one. Which brings back to something I've talked about before in my videos about how the person you're going to be with should be bringing at least half of whatever you have to the table and everything like that. But this is a matter of if when y'all were dating, she didn't cook, didn't clean, didn't do laundry, didn't really want to have sex with you, didn't really want to like hang out with none of your friends or do anything like that, don't delude yourself into thinking that once you are married, that's going to change. Because if she's like that now, it's only going to get worse once you get married. Yeah, that's pretty much it actually. That's all I got on that one. How a person is before you get married to them is probably how they're going to be once you actually are married to them. Pay attention. See the signs. They're everywhere. There you go. Okay, and I will give you this. If things are bad, and you're like me and you're only going to get married once, work it out. I have a few friends who've been married for years, and things between them and the person they're with wasn't always entirely great. So what do? They sat down and they wrote out a list of things that they liked or didn't like about the person that they are married to. I've talked about this before. The same thing applies here. Sit down with them. It's like, look, honey, look, husband, and these are the things I don't like. These are the things I do like. Can you work on this? You don't cook. You don't clean. You don't do no laundry. Could you try to wash a pair of socks? Could you make me a fucking sandwich? Could you, I don't know, brush the crumbs off the counter? Even if you brush them onto the floor, at least get them something. And if they don't want to work on those things, then you leave their ass. Don't drag that shit out. Don't look back down the line 30 years from you getting married and going, she said she was going to get better, or he said he was going to get better, and they still ain't got no better, and you're still deluding yourself into thinking that something's going to change. Stop yourself. Don't do it. So, that is it. It's the best advice I got for you covering those topics. Hope it helped you. Hope to help someone. If not, let me know what will. As always, be good. And if you can't be good, at least be good at it.